over 100 hadiths for sure. And then the Prophet ﷺ, as it's mentioned here, that Umar radiallahu anhu didn't like any of these things. Whether it says Umar didn't like them or the Prophet disliked them, what's important, they were disapproved. They were not approved of because of their resemblance of the kuffar and of the people of shirk and kufr, which is a major Islamic principle. As was mentioned in detail, in the extreme scholarly detail by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah in his amazing book, اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم مخالفة أصحاب الجحيم. The issue of imitating the kuffar powerful mega time bombs. Qanabil is some of the most powerful of his books. Khayr inshallah. That's for Talabat al-Ilm. If you have the book, if you have the ability to get the book, it's definitely something that you want to read several times and often. اقتضاء الصراط المستقيم. Khayr inshallah. And in that book he has all different mabahith, all different discussions of aqidah, sunnah, bid'ah, fiqh, hadith, history, philosophy, psychology, hadith, wal-Marjan. Khayr inshallah. So these things were not approved because they had a resemblance of to the kuffar, and also due to the fact that it wasn't unique enough, special enough for the Muslims. Khayr inshallah. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, أَلَا تَبْعَثُونَ رَجُلًا يُنَادِي بِالصَّلَاةِ. How about you just get someone to make the call, a man to make the call? And then the Messenger of Allah told Umar to stand up and make the call. Khayr inshallah. We mentioned some of the fawaid of this hadith last class. Some of the different points of leadership, successful leadership now. Now let's go to what Nawawi says in Al-Minhaj. He says, قوله أو قال في هذا الحديث فوائد. He says many benefits in this hadith. منها, from them, منقبة عظيمة لعمر بن الخطاب رضي الله تعالى عنه في إصابة الصواب. The first fact that we give from this hadith has nothing to do with the adhan. It has nothing to do with salah. As we've said many times, student knowledge in Arabic and in English should develop a strong and efficient ability to deduce, to take out, to extract, to decode whatever you're reading, to take a lesson and a moral from it. The main point and the side points as well. And we mentioned this in many classes, especially, for example, if you went in one place, مثلا, explanation of 40 hadith from seeking knowledge, and the first lesson in the beginning of the explanation, the concept of deducing the fa'idah. And if I had to say, if there was one skill set, if I only had to pick one that I learned in Medina, in College of Hadith, that was the most useful, most beneficial, that stuck with me the most, if I was forced to pick one, it would be this. If I was forced to pick one skill set. There are many, countless. If I had to pick one thing that was most intriguing and interesting to me, most beneficial to me in my daily life and teaching that I got from my professors in College of Hadith, it will be this. Is to deduce, to extract. And this isn't something that's foreign to Western culture. It shouldn't be foreign to Western culture. Everybody understand this? It's strange now to many people who've become far from the original sources, but even in Western culture, this is something that's well known in pop culture, such as the master of deduction, observation.
Science.
Sherlock Holmes, without a doubt. Sherlock Holmes, awesome. You don't have to watch the movie, it doesn't have to be the movie to say Sherlock Holmes is in books, novels. For those, everybody saying it's insane, watch a movie. These promoters to watch a movie. He said what? Books. Everybody understand this? Everybody, let alone the fact, the proof that is the greatness of that whole concept is how many versions they made of it. From old black and white to this day. There lies no doubt. The thing that made Sherlock Holmes wasn't his courage, his cunning, wasn't his boxing ability, was the no doubt to deduce, to look at somebody's shoes and say, you were here last night. Look at someone's pick, the tan of their skin, and this and that, so on, and break down the crime, save someone's life. And to save a man from going to jail for the rest of his life, or losing his life for a crime that he did not commit. Because of his what? Deduced. Because you have a band-aid on your fingertip, that means you're this. And due to the fact you have your shirt unbuttoned, that means you were rushing getting here. وهكذا. Everybody understand this? وهكذا. Okay, inshallah. So this is just an example. We're not getting into psychology, modern science and medicine, but this is just an example in modern fiction. Everybody understand this? The benefit of what? To deduce, to extract something that the normal person is not observing and paying attention to. Everybody understand this? This is a Western culture we're talking about now. Everybody doing this? Everybody understand this? Khayr, inshallah. So, moving forward, the first fa'idah that Nawawi quotes this hadith, he says, this is a major virtue for Umar ibn al-Khattab. Radiallahu ta'ala. This hadith that we're studying is in Kitab al-Fada'il, Fada'il al-Sahaba. Sahih? Huh? It should be. Sherlock Holmes enough. Fada'il al-Sahaba. This hadith is in the chapter of what? The virtues of the companions, right? No, it's not. It's in the book of what? Salah. But aside, and this is a major fa'idah that you can take from this hadith, is a virtue of Umar. Virtue of who? Umar al-Khattab. Everybody understand this? How is this?
Because he suggested the idea.
He brought it up. And the Prophet ﷺ acknowledged it. Showing me that Umar radiallahu anhu, his thinking, his way of thinking, his process was on track with nubuwah, with prophecy. He was divinely inspired, as the narrations say. Indeed, there were people who came before you. قَدْ كَانَ قَبْلَكُمْ. The ummah that came before you was people who were muhaddathun, people who got divine inspiration. They weren't prophets, but they were divinely inspired. They were divinely guided. Divine intelligence. Everybody understand this? فَإِنْ يَكُنْ فِي أُمَّةِ أَحَدْ فَأُمَرْ. Said Umar. Everybody understand this? And there are many other examples when Umar radiallahu anhu suggested things and the revelation came down, affirming his suggestion or his idea or thought, such as hijab or وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى of Abraham. The maqam, naam. Compiling the Quran. Umar.
Suggestion of killing the prisoners in Badr.
وأشياء. Alright, clear on this? Battle of Badr. What surah? Surah Muhammad, Ahzab, or Anfal. Right, moving forward. You get it started? The school of thought, how it works. You point it in. When the people get close, you do what? Switch. You got it or not? You understand? Very important teaching technique or debating technique. Everyone understand this? Thinking, brother, now what? Move on. Everyone understand this? Quick. Right, move forward. That's enough. That may be too advanced for us right now at this point. It says here that this is a major virtue of who? Umar al-Khattab, because he was right. The Prophet acknowledged him. Everyone understand this? So if you're having a debate, as we said many times before as well, you're having a debate with somebody who's disrespecting Umar or not acknowledging Umar, he's this and he's that. This person, whatever this person may be, Shi'i, Rafidi, whatever name, is he expecting you to mention this hadith? He is not. He has prepared an answer according to what he learned and what he studied in Nigeria or Pakistan or Iran or Brooklyn or Bronx. Wherever he learned about Shi'ism or whatever, he's been taught and let's say he's diligent. He's read some books, he's listened to some things. He's a good disciple of that falsehood. He has a prepared answer for the hadith that you're going to quote about, such as what? About Umar. Quickly, a virtue of Umar. No.
If the shaitan is strong?
Shaitan would run from Umar. That doesn't mean this, that's fabricated, that's kada. فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي وَسُنَّةُ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ. Any virtue of Umar, Umar's garment was longer, it was flowing to the floor. He narrated to me what? Deen. The milk came from the Prophet's fingertips. He gave it to Umar to drink. He said it was hidden. All the different virtues, they have some type of what? Prepared answer, not just response. Something that they've actually prepared and rehearsed. You bring this out. Oh, I never even heard that before. Everybody understand this? Umar was right even in his suggestions about the adhan. Bang. Everybody understand this? Catching the enemy from a place in which he's not what? Prepared. Appear where you're what? Unexpected. That's what he said in the manual. Appear where you're what? Places where you're unexpected. You're ready for you to attack here. Everybody clear on this? Very important concept here. We mentioned this before. Guiding people, breaking people as well. You may have to be in a debate with someone who doesn't want guidance. And you may be attacking Islam, or attacking the Hadith, or attacking Sunnah, or attacking the Aqidah. And he's obstinate and stubborn and evil. And you may actually to what? Snap him in half. For a lost cause. For the other people who are following him, or are afraid of him, or scared of him. They see you break him in half, they'll say, what? We want to follow the Sunnah. You got to be right. He slew our leader. He embarrassed him. We thought he was the most knowledgeable man on earth. You made him look like a fool with one hadith. No doubt that your aqidah is what? Haqq. It's the concept of the followers. People follow a leader. They follow the leader of the tribe. The leader accepts the deen and the whole what? Tribe comes. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody's not always meant for you to be soft and gentle with. Lie. Some people you have to actually what? Snap. And ways of snapping somebody is attacking them with things they're not used to or ready to what? Hear. We're talking about the concept of debating now. It's an important skill for a student of knowledge. It's not just about giving a khutbah or talking. You have to be able to fight as well for the deen. Everyone understand this? Inshallah. So this hadith teaches us that it's a virtue of what? Umar ibn Khattab. Because he clearly was right. Everybody clear this or not? Now, this hadith, if you wanted a quick comparison between Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, Imam Muslim, obviously, he's going to put this hadith in Kitab al-Adhan. That's the main lesson from this hadith. Imam al-Bukhari is going to put this hadith where? Kitab al-Adhan as well. And also in Kitab al-Manaqib. And Salah and Manaqib, the virtue of Umar. For example, Mathalan, if you were Bukhari, speaking hypothetically, he would put this where in the book of what? Manaqib, the virtues of the companions. Istikhara. Maybe. Keep going.
Shower.
A sentence. You may put it in the book of Ta'bir. But no. Wrong. That's the hadith of Abdullah bin Zayd. That's going to come later on. This is no dream here.
Virtual Bilal.
Huh?
Virtual Bilal.
Fadail of Bilal. Okay? You may put the same, everybody since or. There's a book Shura in Sahih Bukhari. Is it Kitab Shura or Mushawara?
It's not a book, but I mean, it's
La, only dealing with what Bukhari has. Salatul Jama'ah. Perhaps. And what chapter is that going to be in Sahih Bukhari? Does they have Salatul Jama'ah? Kitab al-Jama'ah? It's going to be something else. Has another name as well. Inside Salah. Inside Bukhari. Kitab, something else. Right? Everybody understand the point? So Bukhari is going to take this one hadith and he's literally going to slice it up. He may mention the whole entire hadith again in another part, or he may just mention one. But that's why the hadith is going to be inside Bukhari 6 or 7 times, or 5 times. So you read inside Bukhari in Arabic, in English, you are going to, just by reading the book, you're going to become sharp in fiqh and istinbat. How to what? Deduce. This hadith, boom, 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 boom. What do you want? What do you want? Bilal, Umar, Adhan, Hijrah, Qadimu. When they came to Medina, that's what? Everybody understand this? Everybody clear this or not? He may put this book, let's say hypothetically, he may put the book in Ahkam, the Hadith in Ahkam, book of judgments. Because in this hadith is dealing with context clues. يَتَحَيَّنُونَ. They would what? Estimate the time of the salah. That a ruler, a judge, someone who uses what? Qara'an, context clues to figure out something. وَهَكَذَا. But Imam Muslim is going to put the hadith in the most suitable place, in one place, and that's it. All the different side variations and versions. That's why Imam Muslim's book is beautiful from that aspect. And Imam Bukhari's book is what? Beautiful from another aspect. Everybody understand this or not? So this goes to show you is that if you keep reading these books of hadith, just reading them, let alone with the sharh, let alone with the proper investigation and the good hard work, but it's going to increase your what? Your intelligence. What I would. It's going to take the natural intelligence you have and sharpen it. And that's why Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala said, speaking about the different disciplines of Islam, he says, وَمَنْ طَلَبَ الْحَدِيثَ قَوِيَتْ حُجَّتُهُ. He says, and those or whoever seeks hadith will have a convincing argument. You'll have a what? Convincing argument. Strong. Impose his will on you. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. An-Nawawi, he then says, rahimahullah ta'ala, وَفِيهِ التَّشَاوُرُ فِي الْأُمُورِ. He says in this hadith also includes what? Iqra, bro. Can you get a mic? Why am I reading the sharh? Huh? Put you to work actually. Give me a mic, Khalid. He says in this hadith also, he says what? Tashawur is to seek counsel. Is to seek what? Shura. The Omar says, Allah. He says, why don't you? The Muslims, they what? Suggested things. The Prophet never negated, he never rejected, he never criticized the act of shura. Omar never rejected the act of what? Shura. Everybody understand this? So we said this last class. A successful team has many key ingredients. Obviously, first and foremost is the coach. The key players, the leader, the point guard is the coach on the court. He is to make decisions and to think without consulting the coach. Sometimes it goes back to the what? Coach. The quarterback has to call a different offense. Has to call an audible. Has to do this, has to do that. Everybody understand this? He has to read it. And they also call a timeout. The coach has to be willing to listen to the quarterback. The coach has to be willing to listen to the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. They meant to shower. And it's not just me. I'm in charge. I'm the boss, all right? This is how we are today. I'm the imam in the masjid, you shut up. I studied overseas in Medina, what do you know? What's the attitude of most of us today? Or the opposite. I'm the head of the board. We're the board, we're the administration. We know better, you're just an imam, you shut up. You studied overseas, what do you know about finance and economics and politics? That's wrong. Supposed to listen to each other. You never know who will bring the what? Good what? Idea. Which could be giving you the edge and the success of whatever you're doing. A game, a fight, life, Islam, whatever it is. Everybody saying this? This is very important wisdom. You have to be willing to listen to people. And we quoted many times before, if you want to lead the people and walk what? Behind them. Everybody understand this? Khairan inshallah. Moving forward. اقرأ. تفضل. لا سيما المهمة. He says, making shura, mutual shura, and look at the wazn salih, the scale. Shura, shawara, yushawiru. Tashawara, yatashawaru. When on that scale that wasn't tafa'ul, it proves that it's what? Congregation. It's not just one person. Everybody understand this? Right. He says especially when there's what? Important things. You should make sure on any issue. What we eating for lunch, Abu Saeed? I don't know. You pick. What do you want? Shower. You ask your kids, you ask your family, you ask your brother. Especially if it's something what? Important. Let's make a decision and let's hear what everybody has to say. Am I doing this? Fadl. Only Allah knows what happened to the Muslims when they abandoned this practice. Only Allah knows what happened to the Ummah of Islam when the high people abandoned this practice, when the low people abandon this practice. He won't give advice, he won't listen to advice. Everyone has a full cup. He's too stuck up and arrogant to listen. He's too stupid to give good advice. Why should I listen? Everybody gets stuck. Everybody understand this? Fadl.
وذلك مستحب في حق الأمة بإجماع العلماء.
We can't hear you, Akhi.
وذلك مستحب في حق الأمة بإجماع العلماء.
He says that's recommended في حق الأمة concerning the Muslims, the nation, according to all of the ulama. Fadl.
واختلف أصحابنا هل كانت المشاورة واجبة على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أم كانت سنة في حقه صلى الله عليه وسلم كما في حقنا والصحيح عندهم وجوبها وهو المختار قال الله تعالى وشاورهم في الأمر والمختار.
He then says, and the ulama of the Shafi'i school of thought, ashabuna, he says they differ. Did the Prophet have to make shura with the companions, or was it just recommended like us? Did he have to or not? And he says, in the correct view is that the Prophet it was mandatory for him to make what? Shura, to shawar. As Allah says in the Quran, وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ. So that Imran Allah says, and ask the shura concerning the affairs of Muhammad. طيب. تفضل.
المختار الذي عليه جمهور الفقهاء
ومحقق بالكسر.
ومحقق أهل الأصول أن الأمر للوجوب وفيه أنه
طيب. Says here, he speaks on usul al-fiqh. This ability you want to take here, pertaining to what? Mustalah, aqidah, no, what? Usul al-fiqh. He says here, and most of the ulama of fiqh, and the strong ulama of usul al-fiqh, two different sciences and disciplines. Fiqh is a science, usul al-fiqh is a what? Different science. He says the correct view is that whenever there's a amr, a command, then that thing is what? Wajib. Obviously, there are a million issues inside of the Shafi'i madhab, outside of the Shafi'i madhab, with the Jumhur, in which there's a clear hadith that has a command and they say it's what? Mustahab. So we know that that is not applied all the time. We're talking about according to them. Not speaking ill of them, but that's a problem. And that's one of the benefits of comparative fiqh. One of the benefits of what? Comparative fiqh, no doubt. And also one of the benefits what some people call a zahiri fiqh. You're a zahiri, you're a zahirite. You don't have no madhab. You don't blind follow no one, you're zahiri. And derogatory term. But one thing about the zahiri madhab, say what you like, hate it or like it, is that it's what? It's consistent. It's what? Consistent. And al-amra lil-wujub. The Prophet commands you to do it. Whether it's adab, ibadah, he said do it, that thing is what? mandatory. He said, stay away from it. Don't eat with your left hand. It's haram. Whether it's adab, fil akhlaq, fil fada'il, fil raga'ib, or as for this madhab, hair, staunch, wajib. Hair, لا كما يقال حقك علي واجب. ضحك يعني. This is like laughter. Or they'll make tashni' on other fuqaha. The Hanafis, khalaf al-amr. So oftentimes, one of the different loopholes of these different schools is that it's extremely inconsistent. And it gets even worse when it comes to a fierce battle. And they'll use the principle against the Malikis, but they themselves will be guilty of it in 50 other issues. Everybody clear on this? And we said this before. It's one of the reasons why many ulama of the past and today hated Ibn Hazm. And they hated his book Al-Muhalla. Not because he was from Ahl al-Bidah or he was this or he was, no. All many of them hated him because he exposed their hypocrisy and double standards. And he would quote the different madhabs that would go against 10 athar from the Sahaba pertaining to an issue. But then when it's convenient for them, they would say, وَلَا نَعْلَمُ لَهُ مُخَالِفًا. Fulan did Umar did, Ibn Umar, Aisha said that, Fulan pray like this, do this. A woman whose husband is lost, they said we don't know Sahaba who went against them. But another issue, they'll go against what? 10 Sahaba. If you read the book, you'll often come down on them hard. Talk about not all of them, but different ones and say like, where's you guys' consistency? Especially when it comes to going against the opponent. Everybody understands this is a very important principle of fiqh as well. Even in Aqidah, you read the different books of people who are Ash'ari or affected by the Ash'ari school of thought. They'll criticize the Mu'tazila very heavily. They'll call them Ahlul Bidah. They'll call them Dalun, Mubtadi'ah, Mukhalifin. They'll give them all types of bad names. And they will do the exact same thing that the Mu'tazila did in other issues. And then call the people who affirmed the attributes or said that it was ala dhahir mujassima or la yajuz nisbatuhu. You can't say that about Allah. It's contradiction. That's what? Everybody thinks this is reality. Tight. Hello.
وفيه أنه ينبغي للمتشاورين أن يقول كل منهم ما عنده ثم صاحب الأمر يفعل ما ظهرت له مصلحة بالفتح. مصلحة والله أعلم.
He says, last but not least, this hadith also teaches us that those who are making or involved in the shura, they should speak their minds and give the suggestions and the ideas that they have. Don't be a yes man or kiss up or suck up or brown nose. No, that's no good. What do you think? Now, don't go to the next extreme, Nafis, Imran, where you have no respect. That's another extreme. Or you say something that's way out of line. But it's nothing wrong with you just being honest. I think it's a bad idea. No, we're going to do it. No, speak. Don't just sit there like a wooden doll. Talk. Everybody understand this? And any leader who wishes to have yes men around him, or followers, blind followers around him, or brown nose, whatever word you want to call him, is not a true leader. He's not a what? He's not a true leader. Is it escapable and avoidable? Sometimes you can't. There's going to be people that just want to go with the flow. You can't help that. But you enjoy having them around you. You enjoy having them literally walk around and imitate your every view and opinion. Nah, that's not good. For you or for them. Everybody understand this is not what? Everybody turn this or not? He says they should what? Give what they have. Then he says, Sahibul Amr, the leader, the coach, he then does what? Makes the final decision based off of what's clear to him. Jazakallahu khairan for your ideas, for your suggestions. Now we're going to do what? We're going to do it like this. If I'm wrong, I was sincere. I tried to listen. Everybody understand this? Not to be obstinate and pig-headed. That's a major, major problem with leadership. Everybody understand this? The leader has to be flexible, open, willing to listen, as long as it makes sense and strong. Something that's weak that don't make sense, don't waste my time. But something that's logical and reasonable, he has to be what? He has to be willing. Everybody saying this? In the lowest place on earth, hold the most water. The lowest regions of the earth hold the most what? Water. That's the most ilm, and see who's humblest. Khayr, inshallah. Iqra.
وأما قوله أولا تبعثون رجلا ينادي بالصلاة فقال القاضي عياض رحمه الله ظاهره أنه إعلام ليس على صفة الآذان الشرعي بل إخبار بحضور
وقتها
بل أخبار بحضور وقتها، وهذا الذي قاله محتمل أو متعين، فقد صح في حديث عبد الله بن زيد بن عبد ربه في سنن أبي داود والترمذي وغيرهما أنه رأى الآذان في المنام فجاء إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يخبره به، فجاء عمر رضي الله عنه فقال يا رسول الله والذي بعثك بالحق
لقد رأيت
مثل الذي رأى، وذكر الحديث. فهذا ظاهره أنه كان في مجلس آخر، فيكون الواقع الإعلام أولا، ثم رأى عبد الله بن زيد الأذان فشرعه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بعد ذلك إما بوحي وإما باجتهاده صلى الله عليه وسلم على مذهب الجمهور في جواز الاجتهاد له صلى الله عليه وسلم، وليس هو عملا بمجرد المنام، هذا ما لا يشك فيه بلا خلاف، والله أعلم.
طيب, now listen carefully. He didn't discuss this hadith. There is a problem in this hadith, a clear problem. What's that problem, Sean? That's another skill that you have to develop. Not to deduce good, but also to deduce something that's what? Problematic. You have to have a nose and a knack for a problem. Very important. Am I doing this? Follow.
He told Bilal to give the adhan, but he never explained to him.
He never explained in this hadith. Deeper than that. Huh? You're just saying that off of the mode, the style, which is not bad, but that's not going to get you the grade. Follow.
Translation says.
None of them do translation.
Okay.
In Arabic. Like he says here, Qadi Iyad from the ulama who made explanation of Sahih Muslim before Nawawi, and Nawawi benefited tremendously from. He said this hadith, that which is zahir, that which is apparent from this hadith, Khalid, is what? Is that the only thing that was done in this hadith was i'lam, was a notification about the salah, and not the actual teaching, detailed description of the adhan. Everybody understand this? No, he says what he said is either possible or no doubt has to be. It's a must that we understand a hadith like this. In other words, Umar said, go tell someone to call what? For the adhan. And Bilal was told, as-salah. For example, mathalan, as-salah. That's it. Because the description of the adhan, how it was made, is discussed in a what? Another hadith. And it has nothing to do with the Muslims came and they wanted to see what time it was to pray. And the Prophet ﷺ said, call for the salah. In other words, tell them that it's what? It's time to pray. I'lan, as we mentioned in the beginning. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. The specific adhan was what? In another sitting. Based off of the what? Of Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi. He says in the Sunnah of Imam Abu Dawood, in the Sunnah of Imam Tirmidhi, the Jam' of Tirmidhi, that he saw the adhan in a dream. And he went to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ to do what? To tell him about his dream. And also Umar went and told the Prophet about his dream. He said, I swear by Allah, the truth, I saw exactly what he saw. Umar saw it, and also Abdullah ibn Zayd ibn Abdi Rabbi saw it as well. And the Prophet says in the narration, إِنَّهَا رُؤْيَا حَقٍّ. He says, it's a true dream, inshallah. And told Bilal to make the adhan because Bilal's voice is stronger and better. Everybody understand this? So it clearly states that the description of the adhan was laid down where? The dream, and not in this. He says, and this was nothing more than a general what? Call for prayer. Like when the people have different prayers, like Kusuf, for example, as-salah jami'ah. Not necessarily what? And then for eclipse. Everybody understand this or not? Everybody understand the problem or not? Everybody got it or not? So the other hadith teaches us that the legislation of the adhan was done where? In the dream. And then what? A dream. Nothing to do with the Muslims coming to Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ affirmed the dream and acknowledged the dream. And then told Bilal to do what? And the hadith of Ibn Umar, he's saying that it's nothing more than what? An announcement for prayer to be made. So this goes to show us the different stages of the evolution of the adhan. Everybody clear on this or not? Well, that's solid? Clear on this? Right. He says here, so that which is clear is that this was in another majlis, in two different hadiths, two different stories. Now, so therefore, first it was the announcement, and that's based off of the hadith of who? Ibn Umar. Then the dream was seen by and Umar ibn Khattab. Umar's getting a double virtue now. He had the dream, and in the hadith of Ibn Umar, he told the guy to, he told them to what? Send a person, send a man. You with me, Nafis? Two different stories now. Umar is involved in what? Both of them. The hadith here of the chapter, narrated by Ibn Umar, is that Umar said, أَلَا تَبْعَثُونَ رَجُلًا, to call for the prayer. And then the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd in Sunan Abi Dawud, not Bukhari and Muslim, said that he saw what? A dream. And Umar also saw a dream. But Abdullah ibn Zayd beat him to the Prophet. He beat him to the punch. He gave the dream first, and the Prophet said, interpret. Everybody clear this? Two different stories Umar is involved in. Both of them. Everybody clear this? He says here, so that which is apparent, is that the Prophet legislated based off of the dream of Abdullah ibn Zayd. And the call was based off of the hadith of Ibn Umar. Everyone understand this? Tayyib. He says either based off of wahi, revelation that Allah gave him, or ijtihad. One of the two. Either revelation or ijtihad. This is Prophet's deducement. He thought about it, he sat down, he pondered on it, and he says this is the best action to take. And obviously Allah Azza wa Jalla acknowledged him upon that. If it was wrong, Allah would have Abasa wa tawalla. Naam, Surah 33. With regards to Zayd. Surah Tahrim. You with me, Abu Bakr? You sure? You with me, Salih? Surah Tahrim, Allah talks about what? Prohibiting things that Allah made lawful based off of what? His wives, the divorce, the secret. Naam. Allah is reprimanding the Prophet ﷺ. Abasa wa tawalla. He frowned, he turned away. Allah what? He's reprimanding the Prophet ﷺ. Al-Ahzab. Allah talks about Zayd. And who?
Zayd.
And who else? And who else? I don't know. What's important is that the Prophet ﷺ was hiding something, and Allah said, "You're afraid of the people, wallahu, and takhsha. You should fear Allah more than the people. Don't worry about them." Everybody understand this? So here, this is an example, just 3 examples of when Muhammad does something that is not according to the design of Allah. What comes down? Revelation. What? Revelation. And also the opposite. If Muhammad does something and he doesn't know that Allah directly ordered him to do it, and no revelation is sent down, it proves that it's according to the... Understand this? I got this? And that's another issue with regards to ijtihad. Did the Prophet make ijtihad? Everything that he did was divinely inspired, everything? Or in general, and there were times in which he used his mind to figure out a good conclusion, and it was acknowledged by Allah. That's a khilaf among the ulama. Khayr, inshallah. Moving forward. Qala Tirmidhi. Or before that, he says what? Another fa'idah from, he says, that's ijtihad and not amal. Right. Listen here.
What's the more?
Right. He says here, وَلَيْسَ هُوَ عَمَلًا بِمُجَرَّدِ الْمَنَامِ. He says, and it is, and this hadith does not prove, listen carefully, that the Prophet ﷺ acted upon a what? A dream. But it was ijtihad that was inspired by the dream. We didn't have to go that far. It was a dream that was seen by one of the companions that the Prophet clearly acknowledged. La ishkal. And as we explained before, I asked the question about Sufism And what are the different problems between Sufis and mainstream Orthodox Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith way? Is it just because they dance and they sing and they make a lot of zikr? No, it's deeper than that. And from the groundbreaking core problems is that some of them, now we say they have different groups among them, different schisms among them. Some of them believe that there are other sources of legislation. There are other sources to take divine instruction from, other than Quran and Sunnah. And from those sources they believe is what? A dream. A dream that a person has. This person has become enlightened, whether it's through servitude, being a disciple, murid, not hadith disciple, of course. A person has isolated himself, secluded himself, meditated for years, like a yogi in Tibet. Everybody understand this? And then he becomes what? Enlightened. And then he has a dream, and in that dream is a prophetic vision. This is what we should do. Not a clue, not I saw a good positive dream, which is a sign that we should do this for something else. No, but a dream that makes legislation, tashri'ah, a rule, a law, conjunction that's made up of what? A what? An injunction that's made up of what? A dream. He says that's not this hadith. The Prophet acknowledged it. Everybody understand this? It's a very important point here. We mention this. All right, we mention this. It's very important for you to understand this. Is that a dream cannot be a source for a ruling of Islam. A dream, once more, is not a source to make a rule in the deen, unless it's a dream that took place during the time of the Prophet, and the Holy Prophet did what? Acknowledged it. Everybody understand this? Everybody got this or not? A sheikh and imam cannot have a dream and then it becomes a rule. We make an extra prayer. We do this. We make this extra prayer because of the dream. La. Rather, the dream, no doubt, is important in Islam. Of course, the Prophet tells us it's a part of prophecy. The dream can lead you to something that's already legislated. Everybody clear on this? Khayr, inshallah, moving forward. قال الترمذي ولا يصح لعبد الله ابن زيد بن عبد ربي هذا عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم شيء غيرها حديث الأذان وهو غير عبد الله بن زيد بن عاصم المازني ذاك له أحاديث كثيرة في الصحيحين وهو عم عباد بن تميم والله أعلم. وأما قوله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا بلال قم فنادي بالصلاة فقال عياض أو قال عياض رحمه الله فيه حجة لشرع الأذان من قيامه وأنه لا يجوز الأذان قاعدا. قال وهو مذهب العلماء كافة إلا أبا ثور بن جوزة وافقه أبو الفرج المالكي. وهذا الذي قاله ضعيف من وجهين، أحدهما أن قدمنا عنه أن المراد بهذا النداء الإعلام بالصلاة لا الأذان المعروف، والثاني أن المراد فاذهب إلى موضع بارز فنادي فيه بالصلاة ليسمعك الناس من البعد، وليس بتعرض للقيام في حال الأذان، لكن يحتج القيام في الأذان بأحاديث معروفة غير هذا. أما قوله مذهب العلماء كافة أن القيام واجب فليس كما قال، بل مذهبنا المشهور أنه سنة، فلو أذن قاعدا بغير عذر صح أذانه لكن فاتته الفضيلة، وكذا لو أذن مضطجعا مع قدرة على القيام صح أذانه على الصح، لأن المراد الإعلام وقد حصل ولم يثبت في اشتراط القيام شيء والله أعلم. He says here, listen carefully, pertaining to the issues of the adhan, when the Prophet ﷺ said, Qum, he said, O Bilal, stand up and make the adhan. And that's a new issue, a new detailed study of the adhan. He told him to what, Lutfi? To stand up. To stand up and what? Make the adhan. He says this part of the hadith, based on what Khalid Iyal says, is a proof that the adhan is to be made what? Standing. And that is unlawful to make the adhan sitting. Khalid Iyal says this is the madhab of 99.9% of the ulama, except for Abu Thawr and Abu Faraj al-Maliki. These few individuals. Everybody understand this? They said that the adhan must be given what? Standing up. Everybody understand this? Khair, inshallah. Then he goes on, no, he discusses this issue. And he says that this is incorrect. And that's not what most of the ulama hold the view. He says for us, our school, we hold the view that making the adhan standing up is only what? Recommended. And if a person gave the adhan sitting down, it would be what? Permissible. He says if he gave the adhan lying on his side, it would be what? permissible. But he's clearly left off that which is what? Best. That which is what? Best. And there's also another inconsistency. Hadith clearly says stand up. And they said it's only what? Recommended. You see how it came down in Abu Thawr? And Abu Faraj al-Maliki, ضعيف. ليس كما قال. But Shafi'i, no, you ta'awwal, they'll make a million ways of wiggling out of it. Everybody understand this? The Zahiri school would clearly say that the adhan must be done what? And if it's not standing in this spot, because it's mukhalif, the amri Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. laysa alayhi amruna fawran. Simplicity, ease, no contradiction, no tanaqabat. Moving forward, he says here, as far as the different texts regarding that you must stand up during the adhan, he says that it's not authentic. So no, he's saying in brief that it's recommended to do what? Stand up making the adhan. Based on what he's saying, if the mu'adhin was in a wheelchair or disabled, it will be what? Lawful. As long as he has the other necessary conditions of a mu'adhin. As long as he has the what? The other necessary conditions of what? Mu'adhin, which we'll get into. Necessary conditions. Everybody saying this? He's saying that it's permissible to make the adhan what? Sitting down. Try that out, huh? So I'll go in the masjid and give you a adhan sitting down. See what will happen to you. They may kick you. Trip the chair from behind you in the feast.
They might take the mic from.
Everybody understand this? Worse than that. They call you a kafir. You can't give the adhan sitting down. And the person who says that practices what? All types of innovations, shaving beard, pants beneath the ankle, and all types of other major problems. That's unfortunate. Khayr, inshallah. But moving forward, he says, وأما السبب في تخصيص بلال رضي الله عنه بالنداء والإعلام فقد جاء مبينا في سنن أبي داود والترمذي وغيرهما في الحديث الصحيح حديث عبد الله بن زيد أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال له ألقي على بلال وأندى صوتا منك قيل معناه أرفع صوتا وقيل أطيب ويؤخذ منه استحباب كون المؤذن رفيع الصوت حسنه وهذا متفق عليه. Right, and you can make another i'rab of Hasani as well. Right, now one may ask, why didn't we mention the virtue of Bilal? He mentioned the virtue of Umar, but he didn't mention the what? Bilal. Virtue of Bilal. Allah, did he forget? Who knows? Right, moving forward. He says here, as far as the reason why the Prophet told Bilal to make the adhan, then it's not mentioned in the Hadith in Sahihain, but it's mentioned in the Hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd in the Sunnah. And that is, he says, Alqihi ala Bilal. He told the companion to teach it to Bilal. فَإِنَّهُ أَنْدَى. Because his soul, his voice is nadi, more than yours. Some say he had a louder voice. And some say he had a more what? Sweeter voice, more beautiful voice. He says, so we take in this part of the Hadith that is recommended, not mandatory, but recommended for the mu'adhin to have a what? A robust voice. Everybody understand this? And also a what? Nice voice. Sweet. A robust voice. Everybody clear on this? Moving forward. قال أصحابنا فلو وجدنا مؤذنا حسن الصوت يطلب على أذانه رزقا وآخر يتبرع بالأذان لكنه غير حسن الصوت فأيهما يؤخذ في وجهان أصحهما يرزق حسن الصوت وقول ابن شريح والله أعلم. Listen carefully. Now this is a very important issue here that you have to think a bit. It's recommended for the mu'adhin to have a what? Robust voice. That's what we said. Everyone understand this? And it's also recommended for the mu'adhin not to do what? It's not mentioned, but anybody know? The mu'adhin shouldn't do what?
Sing.
You shouldn't take wages for his adhan. You shouldn't take what? Wages for his adhan. He shouldn't be paid. Or, not even not paid, a better translation than that, he shouldn't demand wages for the adhan. He shouldn't what?
Demand.
يَأْخُذُ عَلَىٰ أَذَانِهِ أَجْرًا. He shouldn't request wages upon what? The adhan. Everybody understand this? So, an issue from the different masail. This is also mental exercise, acrobatics, getting your mind flexible. Because you have two mu'adhins now for your masjid. One has a very robust voice, but he says, I need what? Money. Or he accepts money. Demand or accept, however you want to translate it. And the other one says, I don't want any money, I don't take any money, but his voice isn't what? Robust. Which one do you take? Or what's the solution? Get out the money, huh? Allahu Akbar. Cash what?
Cream.
Tight. Cash rules. Tight. What else? Anybody else? What would you say, Lutfi?
Second one?
The one that with the right. Right. How much is he asking for?
No doubt.
Tight. What you say, Samir? Which of the two?
It matter of how much you ask for.
Tight. Which of the two?
The one who doesn't accept wages.
Sorry.
Give the one that's accepting wages, nasiha.
Give him nasiha. I need nasiha, which is called what?
Money.
That's the nasiha that I need. What do you say, Nafis?
I say if he's demanding or if he's getting.
No, he says that some of the ulama of the past, they say, listen carefully. He says, Yurzaqu hasan sawt. He says the one who has the robust voice, the nice voice, is to be given money. And he's to be chosen. The pious one with the weak voice, la. Discard it. Bring in the good mu'adhin and we give him money without him what? Asking. Which proves that the correct translation, understanding that la ya'khudhu ala adanihi ajran does not necessarily mean he doesn't take money from the adhan. That's not necessarily the most accurate translation. But going back to what I said with regards to demanding and asking for it. Everybody understand this? So this shows you of how you have two different principles and you have to what? Figure it out. Everybody understand this? So he says the solution is to get the guy with the nice voice and give him money. The one with the weak voice under any circumstance should be what? Accepted. Because the whole purpose of the adhan is what? To be heard. No doubt. It's to inspire, to incite the people to come to pray, to want to pray, to remind them. He has a weak voice, a bad voice. It's not. The whole purpose of the adhan is already done. It's compromised. Him taking money for the adhan, going against the hadith is a haram or makruh. That's the first issue. Let alone that pertains to him and has nothing to do with his. Has nothing to do with his what? And then everybody understands this. There may be an administration, which is many. I've seen it with my own eyes. They may go to place the administration hates the man. They despise him. And he despises the administration. But the administration says he's a heck of a khatib. What are you gonna do?
You're gonna pay him.
No doubt. He brings in the people, he brings in the numbers, they give the sadaqah, the masjid, whatever. He's a what? He's a spellbinding speaker. As a person, we don't like him. His personality, or maybe his race, his reality. He's from a country that we're not from. But he can what? He can talk. Or he has ilm, he has knowledge. He has charisma. He knows how to talk to the people, deal with the people. Everybody understand? This is spellbinding. And this is a concept of what? This is a concept of what? You're going to get it for that one, Father. No doubt. It's going to come back to you.
Somebody going to put your check.
That was a bold punch you took. Okay. You can't be scared, huh? You have to have what? You have to be what? A level of what? Professionalism. What's more important here? Our ego, our personal feelings, our prejudice, our racism, our colorism, or the what? The benefit of the people. Or even deeper than that. Unfortunately, wala hawla wala quwwata illa billah, the sadaqah box. This is real. This is why it's tough being a leader. You have to make hard-line decisions sometimes. When he gives the khutbah, people come. When he gives the fundraiser, people what?
Yes.
Spin. His personality, we don't like. His skill and talent, we what?
Love. Need it.
Everybody understand this? Now, the unwise man would say, get rid of the imam because we don't like him. Bring in another imam who doesn't have the proper credentials. He can't speak as well. He's not as good. He's not a natural born leader. He doesn't have the charisma, the shafiyah that we need. But we love him. And he listens to everything we say. He's a follower, a yes man. This many administrations do. And that's sad. Everybody understand this? And the other thing is what? Translation. And the list goes on. Who's the best translator? Fulan or Fulan? I don't like you, but I know you're the best translator, so I'm going to do what? My professionalism is going to force me to do what? Everybody understand this? And not one's ego. Moving forward. He then says, وذكر العلماء في حكمة الأذان 4 أشياء: إظهار شعار الإسلام، وكلمة التوحيد، والإعلام بدخول وقت الصلاة وبمكانها، والدعاء إلى الجماعة والله أعلم. Last but not least, the last that he mentions is the ulama mentioned 4 main wisdoms of the adhan. 4 main purposes and wisdoms of making the adhan. Number 1 is the manifestation of the strength of Islam. To manifest that Islam is alive and thriving. To show the people the religious practices open and public and plain. Idharu shi'ar al-Islam. Everybody understand this? The religious what? Practices, the holy things. Everybody understand this? The consecrated things in Islam are to be what? Manifested. Hajj, Jama'ah, Taraweeh, and the list goes on. Number 2. He says here, the kalima of Tawheed. Now, Allah Alam, which one is which? Is the comma after Idhar Shi'ar al-Islam wa kalimat Tawheed? Is that one point? Or not? Problem here in this print. He says here, وَإِذْهَلَامِ بِدُخُولِ وَقْتِ الصَّلَاةِ وَبِمَكَانِهَا. So let's say number 2 is kalimat Tawheed. It's manifesting the kalima of the word of Tawheed. Monotheism. Everything that you do on a daily basis is a major manifestation of what? Tawheed. That you believe in the Lord's oneness. He says after that, obviously, is to tell the people that it's time to pray and also the place of prayer. He says here, وَالدُّعَاء إِلَى الْجَمَاعَةِ, and inviting people to congregation. People know that it's time to pray eventually. Lord's going to come in eventually. Asr's going to come in what? Eventually. But you make it then loud in public, it's doing what? Calling the people to the Jama'ah. Calling them to the what? To the Jama'ah. Now obviously, every location, that's the end of that chapter from Minhaj. Obviously, every masjid is different. Every location is different. People are different. But in general, you go to certain communities in which they make the adhan out loud on the sidewalk or on the roof or with a loudspeaker. And no doubt, everyone's going to benefit from it. The heedless people, the shayateen run away, forgetful Muslims, non-Muslims. Oh, that sounds nice, that sounds cool. What is that? Sounds strong, powerful. What does that mean? Everybody understand this? Or the concept of those who are malicious, evil, malevolent people who want to do harm to Muslims. He may be thinking about walking up on an old Muslim man and beating him up, or snatching a Muslim lady's pocketbook, or raping a Muslim sister, taking off her hijab. But when he hears that man's voice roaring, Hayya ala salah, it may do what? Give him a second thought. Whoa, where's that coming from? The Muslims are not scared. They're not afraid. They're not scaredy cats. They're making their call public and open in front of everybody. So if I do something to a sister or a kid or this one, it may be a what? Serious repercussion. We'll say that on camera. There's not a lot about that. Some liability. That's better. That's even more politically correct. There's some type of what? Liability, no doubt. But if the adhan is never made out loud, never made in public, the Muslims are obviously, in this non-Muslim's head, this evil person, this robber, this rapist, weak, scared, afraid, or at best, inferior in number. Because they're not making any noise. We never see them, we never hear them. So therefore, I can easily get away with snatching a pocketbook or vandalizing the masjid. I can get away with that. Graffitiing on the masjid, urinating on the masjid. I can get away with it. Raping a Muslim sister. Because the Muslims are weak. They're trying to blend in and look like the non-Muslims. They want to be good neighbors and that's it. But the adhan, you see loads of men, women, But to some men coming to the masjid, brothers, beards, bodies, this, that, walking in and out of the building, is at least going to do what? Think twice. At what? At least. It still might happen, but at least he's going to do what? Think twice. And any type of attack or disrespect or desecration is going to be extremely cowardly. That's a guarantee. It's going to be what? It's going to be coward. It's going to be hit and miss, hit and run. They're going to throw something at the masjid. They're going to do it at night. It's going to be very cowardly, but an outward, bold strike against the Muslims is something that he's not going to do. Because he's a coward? No, because he's scared, but it's just too many Muslims. And the Muslims are clearly strong based off the call of their prayer. 5 times a day, consistently, they're praying on time. Everybody understand this? It's from the wisdoms of making the adhan out public on the speaker. I clearly said, we don't want to say, well, this masjid or that masjid is different, this and that. We clearly said every community is different. But do you think when you're on Bedford, Fulton and Bedford, they hear the adhan and I should tell them what? Do you think it was always like that in the feast back in the day? Or it had to be what?
Had to be established.
Established. And somebody was shy and afraid, and somebody complained and went to the city and the police and the kafir, or somebody said this to Muslims and threw a glass. Somebody had to be discussed. Had a discussion with, no doubt, on one level or another.
Minimum.
Until it was what? Established. And you can make the adhan, walk up and down the street in Brooklyn, wearing a thobe, wearing a hijab, open up a store and have no fear. That is not done if you constantly make a what? An excuse or complacent attitude. Oh, don't be too loud. Oh, don't pop. Oh, Kevin. Oh, Kevin. Oh, Yani, don't make problems with neighbors. Oh.
Politically correct.
It'll never ever get like that. Everybody, it'll never what?
Yeah.
It'll never get like that. Go to some places, some countries, some cities, some towns, sisters with niqab, with hijab, it's normal. You think it was always like that? Of course not. The first one was made fun of. The first one may have been attacked. It may have been an instance, but the Muslims are strong. We're here to stay. We're not going anywhere. We're not violent. We're not wishing to cause any problems. You don't cause any problems with us, and we'll all get along. Hindu, Jew, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Buddhist, everybody, you have your space. We respect your space, you respect ours. But Muslims are scared and afraid and always inferior, and nothing will ever be what? Established. It'll never be established. Everybody understand this? So this is just food for what? Food for thought. It's not an accident why the adhan is made with the Prophet told Bilal to because he had a what? Not a small. That in itself is a manifestation of strength, which is from the maqasid of the deen, to show non-Muslims that the Muslims are strong. Everybody clear on this? Yani, we don't want to give a lecture on this, how we become weak and scared and afraid. Unfortunately, fear the harm of the kuffar, wouldn't be like the kuffar, wouldn't look like the kuffar. Rather you find a learned man, a learned person say, dress like the kuffar. Don't dress like the Muslims. You shouldn't dress like a Muslim at all. Or someone say there's no such thing as a Muslim dress. There's no such thing as Muslim dress. There's a learned person saying this. It's unfortunate. You don't think that this fatwa or this opinion is heavily influenced by that concept that we mentioned? No doubt. I walk into Walgreens, I walk into the supermarket, I walk into city council, not saying that you have to wear a thobe. That is mandatory. But you don't think that if I walk into this place with a big, long, full beard, and my head covered, and a sajda mark, and a long dress, what is more comfortable, more acceptable, what's more pleasing and cooler to their eyes? This, with a big beard, or somebody walking in with a suit and a tie, trimmed pants, a little snug pants, barely with a beard on his face? Which of the two are they going to accept more? Without a doubt. And it doesn't even have to be a political thing. Because somebody may say it's a political necessity. The guy who's on city council or the mayor, he can't have a big beard. He has to, wait, okay, maybe. Or just the concept of I go to the supermarket with my wife. I have no beard or very, very, very slim beard, a little bit of a long shirt and some normal slack pants beneath my ankles, no head covering. No one knows that I'm a what? Muslim. My wife, maybe they'll know with a scarf, barely covering. It's still traditional. And it's not necessarily what? Islam. That causes fear in people's hearts. Oh, Muslim terrorists. There is no doubt that these opinions and these views, we're not saying that they're 100% based on this, but they are heavily influenced on what? On this. And it has to be. Because that is acceptable, and this is totally unacceptable. You're scary. Look at your face. Look at your beard. That's what they're going to say. And the unfortunate thing about it is, you have life experience. It's the exact opposite. One time, I'll give you a brief story. We were in Seattle, Washington. It was me and another brother. I had a full garb like this and a kufi. I don't have on a beard. I look young. Okay, maybe not that menacing as Nafis or Nishon, no doubt. And Ron. It's like a lion's mane. Sorry, I got long hair. But I don't know him. I was clearly dressed as a Muslim. And the brother that was with me, he had on pants and a shirt. He doesn't have to wear gold. So there was a lady in the market. She had a little daughter. We were minding our business looking for tea in the aisle. The little girl came over, walked up to me, started talking to me. They said, I can count to such and such. My name is such and such. The little girl felt no fear with two clear strangers who were clearly out-of-towners, of a different race, clearly Muslim, but she felt no fear whatsoever. And the mother was terrified. Come here, come on, over here. No, come here. Leave the poor men alone. She's not bothering us. We're getting tea. I have two daughters too. My daughter is 11, my daughter is 9. What's your name? That's nice. No, nothing. I'm here, the little girl was there. That's it. But the mother was what? Terrified, petrified. But the little girl was on the fitra. These guys don't look like no mean criminals. They look like nice guys. And she felt comfortable to talk. A lot of how many stories go on and on and on. You go to Walmart, you go to the airport, you go here, you go there. The kuffar initiate and talk to you. They say something to you. They engage you. How you doing? Nice day. That's nice. Kuffar, that's not true. Some of them are, yes. But everybody's scared and afraid. That's not true. All non-Muslims are not like that. Most of them, they look at you as a person. Clean, neat, dressed. No matter what you're wearing, but you're clearly what? Clean. You have a woman with you. You hold your daughter's hand. Your wife is not being pushed and beaten. And all. They see these things. He's a gentleman. Muslim, Jew, or Christian. He's a gentleman. He's not abusing his wife. He's a family man. His little kids jumping on his leg, jumping on his back. Can we buy this toy, Abby? They see that. And that's the thing that makes the impact upon the people. Not pants, shirt, beard, or dress. So beware of rejecting the sunnah, whatever it is, whether it is or not. That's a discussion. That's one thing. We're just saying it just to say that. No one say that the is not a sunnah. And most importantly, is beware of rejecting reality and common sense. And putting a presupposed fear that does not exist. But it's in your what? In your head. And even if it was a fear, what are you going to do? Every time the non-Muslim says bend, you keep bending. It's like limbo. Until you eventually what? Hit the ground. And Allah clearly says in the Quran, they will not stop fighting you until what? You follow their religion. That's what the Quran says. Not the Hadith, not the ulama, the Quran says that. They will fight you until what? They will not be pleased until you what? Follow their way. So you compromise until what? Nothing is left. May Allah help all of the Muslims. I mean.